Hello and welcome to a new video series from your friends at the Lansing Economic Area Partnership. My name is Caitlin Lindstrom, the Marketing Content Manager here at LEAP, and you probably remember from our LEAP Weekly video. Our studio looks a little different now, as most things do, and we're excited to bring you this new monthly series called the Regional Resiliency Report. Each month, we'll update you on how LEAP is working to meet the economic needs of communities in Clinton, Eaton, and Ingham counties, especially in this time of prolonged uncertainty and economic stress. You'll also hear a brief update from President and CEO Bob Trezise and enjoy an interview with one of LEAP's member businesses. This month, Bob will provide a deeper dive into LEAP's programmatic shift to small business support since the onset of COVID-19, which includes $7.27 million in grant and loan money distributed to regional small businesses and a $500,000 brand new inclusive entrepreneurship program which launched this week. He'll also talk about LEAP's long-term strategic plan and how we anticipate continuing to meet the evolving needs of the Lansing region to ensure continued economic resilience and strength. This month's member feature is Mike Maddox of ASK, who will discuss the evolving role technology plays in business strategy and society, especially as so much of our world is being experienced online now more than ever. He'll also tell us about some initiatives and programs at ASK that are working to meet the needs of business owners across the Lansing region. We hope you find this series inspiring and informative as we continue to support resiliency among our communities in Clinton, Eaton, and Ingham counties. Now let's hear from Bob about the last few months and how they've shaped up here at LEAP.
Hi everybody, my name is Bob Trezise. I'm President and CEO of LEAP, Lansing Economic Area Partnership. We're the regional economic development agency for Ingham, Eaton, and Clinton County, otherwise known as Greater Lansing. I'm here today restarting our tradition of video updates about economic development. We're going to do this once a month and try to provide you with a lot of great, important, and inspirational information about economic development going on in our region. So look for it in your box once a month. At the beginning of this crisis, LEAP put out a quick map of what we thought maybe the next 2 years could look like, and I think it's turned out to be quite accurate. We thought March through June was crisis, emergency, put the fire out, get as much money as possible out onto the street of our local small businesses, and try to build a bridge into the summer when maybe there's better times and people have a fighting chance to make a go of it with their business. And so with the help of the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, federal government, state legislature, LEAP has been able to put on the table and in the pockets of our local small businesses throughout our 3-county area a total of just about $7.5 million in a 5-month time frame. That is money that's already gone out or money that is imminently going out. But again, we're very thankful to our partners. We've worked very hard to be intentional and inclusive and equitable, both from a underrepresented population perspective and from a geographic perspective. And we've had a lot of organizations helping us do that and accomplish that goal. And I'm most proud of that. So that's what we've been trying to do during kind of the first phase of our mapping. We thought that something like July, August, September would be a second part of the phase, which is a time to maybe reflect, observe, analyze, and become more strategic. And we also, in that frame, wanted to make sure that we're not leaving people behind. A recent ALICE working poor sort of threshold was released, and 40% of everyone in Michigan lives at or below that working poor threshold. But what's even extra important is 63% of Blacks in Michigan live below that ALICE threshold. That is obviously totally unacceptable. It's very bad for our economy and very, very bad for our society. And LEAP is determined to be intentional in making sure that economic programming is working on that issue as well. So we created the One&All program, which is an attempt to identify and 100% work with 120 clients who all fall at or below that ALICE threshold in our 3-county area, to work on their small business development ideas to go from entrepreneur to a thriving business. And so we have money for those folks that have been selected. We had programming, intense mentorship from many members at LEAP, and we're very excited. We just announced our first cohort of 20 participants in that program, and that has now been launched. We're thankful to the MEDC and Consumers Energy Foundation for participating financially with their program. But we've also been doing our hatching pitch competitions, which are amazing, and also are working very, very hard to give everyone an opportunity. But this summer, and we've been focusing specifically on underrepresented portions of our community. And you can see announcements about those amazing, wonderful events as well. So then the third phase is kind of October through 2021. We thought, and we still think, that 2021 will be a very difficult year, sadly, both from a health and economic perspective. There are many lagging sorts of issues that I think are going to continue to be very problematic through 2021. But it is also a great year, sorry to use the word, but to pivot to the future and to begin laying lots of foundational kinds of work and seizing upon opportunities, and working on issues like medtech development ecosystem, ag tech ecosystems, and working to build those foundations, to reshoring medical kinds of industry to our area, are all issues that we want to continue to devise, bring people together, and work on those plans so that they are ready for the fourth part of our phase, which we think is 2022, when we think the economy will be roaring back and really rebounding big time. And we want to be fully prepared to take advantage of a great beginning year of maybe late 2021 into 2022. So if, the core of LEAP is to attract and recruit business, it's jobs and investment. That is the best way we think we can help the community thrive. And we're very good at that. We've had tremendous success. If those things are the brick, entrepreneurialism, attraction, retention, expansion, there is the mortar, and that is talent and people and diversity and equity and placemaking. The brick doesn't hold up well without that mortar. The mortar doesn't have purpose without that brick. But together, they build a rock hard foundation and also can build something very tall together. So LEAP's approach is that in economic development is to be very comprehensive and make sure that we are attracting a lot of jobs and people and business, as well as helping people and our community fill in the spaces and so that it's working all together. If we do that, our region has a great opportunity as a Goldilocks, as a perfect fit. There's a lot of evidence out there that we're a top 20 community in America for what they call virus durable industry. There's also a lot of information that mid-sized communities like Lansing, Michigan are going to be major winners in the economy into the future, because we don't have big commutes. We have big city amenities with Michigan State University and other things, but we also are essentially a small town. So we have a very robust high-tech ecosystem environment and businesses. We have a lot of Fortune 500 companies, but you can enjoy it with only a 10-minute commute and very affordable living style, and yet have a lot of fun. So in other words, we're a perfect balance for Generation Z and for technology companies or any company. And we think this is going to be a big part of our future. So I thank everybody for watching. We're going to have a lot of very interesting presentations coming up here as part of this video. And keep safe, keep happy. Let's persevere together. We will get through this, and LEAP is going to be an imperative part of making sure our region not only rebuilds, but has a great moment of growth into the future. Thanks a lot, everybody. Enjoy.
Now that you've heard a little bit more about what the team at LEAP has been up to since March, let's head over to talk with Mike Maddox of ASK and see what they've been up to. So this month's member feature is Mike Maddox with ASK, and we're just going to take some time to learn a little bit more about ASK, what they do, and their connection with the Lansing community. So to start off, tell us a little bit about what makes ASK unique and different in the technology provider space.
Good morning, Caitlin, and thanks for the opportunity to be on. As far as different and unique, I think the way I would summarize it, ASK, we're an IT consulting, managed IT company, cybersecurity company, all based on technology solutions for business. And one of the unique aspects of what we do is we believe that technology doesn't have any real value for a business on its own. So we don't believe in just throwing technology at a business to solve problems or throwing technology at problems. I think it comes down to understanding that technology needs to be integrated into the business strategy for a company. They need to look at what is their long-term vision and their strategy. What are the pain points? Where are areas of inefficiency? That's where technology can really shine. So we believe that technology's role has to be defined only in terms of how it meets that strategy and how it meets those business needs. And everything we do is built on that premise.
Yeah, so especially in thinking about how quickly the business landscape has changed since the onset of the pandemic, technology really has a much more profound role to play in business strategy than even it did before. How do you see technology's role continuing to evolve in society and in business strategy as a whole?
Well, it's interesting to me, and we were talking before about how the technology has enabled us to continue to operate as businesses, and people are seeing that now in with the pandemic. And had this pandemic hit prior to prior to the technology world we live in today, it would have been catastrophic economically. But for the most part, businesses were able to move workers to a remote environment. They were able to continue to operate. The technology foundation was there. And as far as where it's evolving to is, I think it's going to continue on that same cycle where we're going to have businesses continue to move more and more of their operations from a technology standpoint into the cloud, to use a buzzword, and out of defined physical spaces, so that their staff and their team can operate from wherever they're located at. Ease of access. We're going to continue to see more broadband, more high-speed internet, and even higher speed internet be implemented across the board. That's going to give businesses the ability to make that migration and to make that movement, to make it easier for their staff and make it easier for their operations and their processes.
Yeah, so what are some things happening at ASK right now, announcements, campaigns, initiatives that you're super excited about?
Two areas that I'm really excited about. We have a campaign called Business Fundamentals, which is online on our website, that offers businesses the ability to go in and utilize a whole array of free tools that we put together around how can you save money in the area of technology, how can technology save you money as a business, how can it be used to streamline operations and to have a money saving component, how do you make your staff more productive. That's the second element of Business Fundamentals, and technology tools can play a critical role there as well, and can lead to vastly improved productivity. And the third area is how do you grow your business, especially in an economic downturn and in this pandemic world that we're living in. And those three elements put together are what we call business fundamentals. And on our website, we've, as I said, offered an array of free tools that businesses can take advantage of, and some paid offerings as well, assessments they can do. That's the first one. And the second one we're calling cybersecurity awareness. One thing that has been brought to light with the remote work that every business is doing now, and the disbursement of our staffs to their home offices, is the exposure for cybercrime. Everyone's working in their home office on a home office internet connection with a home office router. These are not built to be inherently safe, and cyber criminals know that. So the phishing attacks and cyber attacks have gone dramatically up. And our cybersecurity offerings can prevent that. But to help a business assess where they're at, we've again offered some free tools on our website under cybersecurity awareness. There's a bunch of free tools that businesses can take advantage of, and there's some paid offerings as well. So those are the two campaigns that I would refer to.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking some time to chat with us and tell us a little bit more about what you guys are doing. And we appreciate everything that ASK is doing to help businesses innovate and stay safe as we navigate this new technological reality.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you here next month on the next edition of LEAP's Regional Resiliency Report.